Hey everyone, Car Fix here, and today what I need to do, I need to drain the brake fluid on this 2015 F-150. This is a 3.5 EcoBoost with max tow capacity, so it uses the Motorcraft .4 low viscosity high performance brake fluid. I guess you could use any .4, but I like to use just what the factory recommends in terms of fluids. I think it's just, plain safe. And what I'm going to use this vacuum pump I got online. I've never used this before. It's my first time. You're supposed to connect this on, a compressor. So that's it. That's basically it. Let's replace the, let's drain the brake fluid. And I'll show you the brake fluid on my truck. The state of the brake fluid, which isn't really great. It's already kind of caramel. Even though this truck is not high mileage, it's only 31,000 miles, but the brake fluid is 5 years old. And what I noticed when I brake, it's starting to sink the pedal. It's not as efficient as it was in the beginning. So it's time to change. I know a lot of people say, you don't have to change. I've driven 100,000 miles, 30 years with a truck, and I never changed the brake fluid. That's not necessarily a good thing. I'm really in favor of preventative, proactive maintenance. So, you avoid an accident, you avoid being stranded in the middle of the road. And one thing, when you're dealing with brake fluid, it's extremely corrosive. So you have to wear nitrile gloves. I don't have them yet. I'm going to put them on. But just be mindful of that. You really have to cover, the whole area here so it doesn't drip anywhere. But let me try to show you the, how the brake fluid looks on my truck. I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but it's kind of caramel. So it's not a good color. It should be clear. So I'm going to replace it, and hopefully, the brake pedal is not going to sink like it's sinking right now. We'll see if that works. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my nitrile gloves on, and I'm going to get as much of the old fluid from the reservoir as possible, and then we're going to fill it with new fluid. Then we're going to start with you have to start with the wheel that is furthest from the reservoir. So it's got to be the rear wheels, and because the reservoir is on the left side of the car, you're going to start with the right side left wheel. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jack the car up and get the wheel out, and then we're going to, once we get the new fluid in the reservoir, we're going to start pumping and see if it works. So I'm going to jack the car up first. I'm going to put on the jack stand. I guess you could do this with just a jack on, but it's safer to put it on a jack stand just in case anything happens. Safety first. It's better to be safe than sorry. Now, obviously, get the wheel out. I guess you can use just a regular lug nut. I have this impact wrench, and I prefer to use it. I'm a little bit lazy, and I love power tools. Who doesn't love power tools? So let's get the wheel out. Get it out. Oh yeah, put it aside. By the way, this is a good opportunity to inspect the brake pads. So if you can see, you know, how much pad you have left. I don't know if you can see it in my case. Not very much in the back, so probably halfway through. Yeah, still enough, but it's an opportunity to check the brake pad. Okay, so first thing, you want to just clean around the cap. Make sure you get some of the dust off, the dirt off. And like I said, it's very corrosive, right? So brake fluid, so you want to make sure you protect some of the parts that might drip some brake fluid. And what you want to do now, so I got my brake fluid reservoir. It's not Arnold Palmer half and half. This is actually brake fluid. So, and you can see this is really bad, and this came out of my motorcycle. And I'm going to use this to, of course, get the turkey baster and fill this up with old fluid here. So I'm going to get the cap off now and fill up as much as I can, or actually get off or get out as much as I can of the old brake fluid. Let me get the baster here. So let's do this. Let's get as much out of the old fluid as possible. Okay. Okay, so I did a better job in protecting, you know, just the vicinity of the brake fluid reservoir, because I did drip a little bit the engine compartment. So I cleaned that, I put some rag, and now I need both hands to just use the baster to get the old fluid out. I took a look at the fluid. It's not that bad, as bad as my bike was, but it's still probably has too much humidity, water than it should, and it's affecting, you know, braking performance for my truck. So I'm going to get it out, and I'm going to put new one in. And as you you know, remove, or as you suck with your vacuum pump through the lines, you always have to make sure that the reservoir is full. So never let the reservoir go dry, because you're going to get air in your brake lines, and then it's a much more complicated you know, process to get it out. Okay, so I got most of the old brake fluid out of the reservoir, so now I'm gonna, you know, just open the new brake fluid. And I got 4 pints, and for what I saw online, 4 pints should suffice to drain the 4 lines of the brake fluid. So what I'm gonna do now, and I got a funnel here, so I'm just gonna carefully pour in the brake fluid. Yeah, so the color is a little bit different. It's kind of a glowy yellow versus the caramel that I pulled out of the reservoir. So I poured a pint in. So let me check the level here and see if this is good. Where's the level? Okay, it's over the maximum. I don't know, you're not going to be able to see, but it's over the maximum. No, it's actually a little bit below the maximum. So now I'm just going to leave this here, and we're going to go to the back, and we're going to start, you know, pulling out the brake fluid from the lines. Okay, so now we got to get the cap off first. There's a rubber cap, and I'm not sure if this is 10 or 12 millimeter. Yeah, so this is not actually, well, yeah, so this is actually a 10 millimeter that you're going to need. I'm going to place this somewhere here, the reservoir. I'm going to stick here, And I'm gonna get this cap and just slide it into, you know, the pin here. You don't loosen it yet. You're only gonna loosen it after you get some vacuum in the line, right? So what I'm gonna do is, first I'm gonna get vacuum going, and I'm using the compressor vacuum, but you can use just a regular hand pump vacuum. Once I get some vacuum going, then I'm gonna slowly release you know, the drain pin here. But I don't want to just fully open. I want to open as the, you know, minimum, the least possible, so it gets fluid going through the line and doesn't get air in. So I'm gonna start doing that. Might get a little bit noisy. Oh, so let's see. Yep, you can see fluid flowing. Okay, so here's the drama. This, you know, brake fluid pump, it doesn't work. So what I did, I went to the parts store, and I ran to the parts store and I got a manual vacuum pump. You know, I'm not a professional mechanic, I'm just a DIYer. Let's see if this one works better than that crap over there. Okay, so my other camera died, but this is actually working. So I pumped the vacuum up, right? It goes up. I try to get it as high as possible. It goes up to 20-ish PSI, and then I open the bleeder valve, and I can actually see the, you know, the vacuum dropping, the air coming out, and the fluid coming out. And I think there's a lot of air in my system because of the stupid old vacuum pump. But it's coming out, at least you can see, and what's coming out is actually really black. So it's much worse than what I pulled out of the reservoir. So I'm just going to keep working on this, get this out until I start seeing clear fluid. So I got the rear left wheel out, which is the second wheel furthest to the reservoir. So now, same procedure. You're going to get the dust cover, the rubber dust cover off of the bleeder valve. Just don't forget to put it back. I mean, it's there for a reason. All right, so let me get the tools and let's bleed this side. So same procedure here. I got the vacuum pump connected to the bleeder valve. I haven't opened it yet, so I'm gonna build vacuum. It's up to 20 psi. I'm gonna try to get it to 25, and then I'm gonna open the valve and see what comes out. Hopefully it's brake fluid. For this side, it actually worked really well. This is what came out. So how much is this? 100 milliliters. I think it's about 3 ounces, 3.5 ounces. So 3.5 ounces came out. Then some clear fluid started to come out. So I think it's enough. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check on the reservoir to see, you know, if it's low and fill it up again. Okay, so I've done the 4 lines. So the rear right wheel, the rear left wheel, the front right wheel, and the front left wheel, right? So from the furthest to the closest to the reservoir. So I filled the reservoir up to, you can't really see, but it's really up to the maximum level. It's right here. So make sure it's filled. Now you go in, you close it. Now we're gonna turn on the car, pump the brake a few times, make sure it's working, and go out for a test drive. Take it slowly in the beginning, right? Make sure the brakes are working, and then you progressively brake a little bit more just to test before you really go out on a highway. So just to close this video out, a couple of things I've learned in a process. So I did the 4 wheels. It turned out really good. I test drove the truck. It's really good. It's a lot better than it was. The pedal is not sinking anymore like it was. It's much more sensitive, and it's braking a lot more powerfully. I thought that was my impression. But a few things, right? First, I used 2 pints, so approximately 1 liter of the brake fluid. I bought 4 of these. I didn't have to. If you buy 2, it should be enough. It takes a lot of brake fluid for you to see it coming out, clear fluid on the furthest wheel, which is the right rear side, or rear right side. It takes a lot of fluid. So it's just 1 pint basically to get the fluid out, to put 1 pint in practically until you see new fluid coming out of the right rear brake caliper. It takes quite a bit of fluid. Now then it starts to take less. So the left side rear brake caliper took a lot less fluid. The right side front took less fluid, and the left side front took almost no fluid. So 2 pints should be enough for you to bleed the brakes. The socket wrench, it's actually 11 millimeter. I said it was 10 in the beginning. And about these 2 pumps, right? So I got this one at Amazon. It works with an air compressor, and this is a manual pump. Here's the thing. This is not great. You really have to have kind of a powerful air compressor to make this work. So the way I made it work was I got my cheap hot dog compressor up to 100 psi, and then it worked, right? But it drops, because it's a cheap compressor, it's small, it drops really fast, the pressure, and then you have to close the valve and let the pressure build again. So if you do that, this one actually works. This is crap. I broke it. This one's broken. It just, when I used it on the right wheel and then right rear, it worked. It worked on a left rear. When I got to the front right wheel, it was just not working anymore. So I don't recommend this manual pump. This one actually does work. You just have to have a powerful compressor. So these are my impressions. Overall, I managed to bleed the brakes on the truck. It's working well. And that's it. I hope it was useful. And if you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It helps me. And I thank you guys a lot. And consider subscribing. Thank you.